Dear students, today this topic will be on the biological process. So, especially for Mtech, I have completed the design of all the physical treatment in short with type 1 and type 2 sedimentation. So, grid chamber, primary sedimentation, secondary sedimentation, clary flocculators, almost fine. The main complete design. Now, the next process is the design of the biological process. Okay. So in a biological process, we have aerobic process, we have anaerobic process. In the aerobic process, we have your tricking filter, then activated sludge process. In the tricking filter and activated sludge process, the design is already taught in Btech syllabus, and in Mtech it is not a syllabus. Okay, but however, we have to know the in-depth study of what the biological process is going on inside the aerobic process, tricking filter and your activated stress process. So this topic will be on the biological process, the COD removal, the energy production and all these things. Now to begin with, let me give you one example. In the biological process, what happened is your BOD is eaten by microbes, right? So BOD, we get some oxygen. It may be from atmosphere. Okay, so this BOD will require oxygen to convert into simple product like carbon dioxide and water. Is it correct? This is a simple basic fundamental of the biological process. Now, this BOD is nothing. It is the food of the microbes. Okay. Now, from where the microbes comes, the microbes will automatically start developing inside the reactor. So here, the byproduct will be coming and the microbes will be coming. The microbes, we call it sometimes, if you don't require it, sludge. Sometimes we call it mixed liquor, suspended solids. Sometimes we call cells. Okay. So in your drainage, you can see that after some time, some black particles will be there on the periphery of the canals or the drains. Those are the microbes. They eat the organic or your BOD food in the drains, the sewers, and they develop the reproduction, and then it comes in the form of sludge. Sludge, when we wasted it, if it is from microbiology point of view, we call it cells. If you want to estimate sludge, we estimate in the lab in the name of MLSS or mixed liquor, suspended solids. All are same, or in some other terminology, if you want to estimate in terms of oven, we call it volatile suspended solids. Sometimes we call it biomass also. Okay, so all are having same name. Is it clear? But in any way, these are microbes. Now, the thing is, this is a simple basic fundamental. Now, the thing is, in order to give a baby growth energy, we don't provide simply glucose. We provide nutrients, proteins, minerals, right? Essential elements for proper growth of the next population. So here we provide some other nutrients also. These nutrients we don't provide, but automatically it comes in the wastewater. And some of the nutrients are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Say for example, when the domestic wastewater contains a lot of nutrients, there is a nitrogen. Nitrogen from where? Nitrogen is amino acids. Many of the protein foods contains amines. So this nitrogen, if excess, you can see the eutrophication happens in the leg. That means these are the nutrients. Okay, so it may be in the form of NH3 or whatever, phosphate or whatever. So the simple basic fundamental is the BOD food is consumed by the bacteria in the presence of oxygen from the atmosphere, and then nutrients are there, natural nutrients present in the wastewater itself, and it gives out simple product. These are these are called oxidized product. Who is oxidizing? This is oxidized. Okay, this BOD is oxidized and forms new cells. Okay, and I'll say it also makes some plus BOD escape. BOD escape means some of the BOD are not removed, rather it escaped out in the effluent. So these are some maybe 20%, 30%. Okay, so this is the basic fundamental. Now, even though we make an equation format, it is not that it is completely happening inside the wastewater. But however, for our own convenience to design, so number one, you have to know that when you design an activated sludge process or treating filter we design by using Eckenfelder equation, NRC equation, simple what you call this empirical equations. Activated sludge process we design it by maintaining particular HRT, SRT, foot to mass ratio, whatever. But you have to know how much oxygen is required. This is because in our wastewater treatment plant, this is going to be provided by aeration. We are going to do aeration, and how much aeration is required, how much oxygen is required, that calculation is very important. So aeration, how much oxygen is required to in this BOD. Okay, plus these microbes, this sludge, how much it is generated. This is very, very important. So these are the in-depth studies of Mtech. Okay, so now I'm going to define for our own mathematical equation purpose. We are going to use some equations which you have to remember. Okay, is that fine? In case if you want to make it click, you click it, hold the video, and you can have a look. This basic fundamental is very important. So from here, I'm not going to ask anything, but this is the basic fundamental, and you are going to understand it. Okay. Next one is C. There was a guy called Hoover and Porges. These two scientists, they developed an equation in the year 1952. Okay, so what they developed is this BOD, we simply make it by a simple equation called glucose. Glucose itself can be a food, right? So this glucose plus oxygen, please have a look properly, plus some nutrients. There will be a lot of nutrients, but whatever the nutrients we have, we minimized it, we neglect it, considering that those are insignificant. The most significant, the most important nitrogen we put, because this is required for the development of the cells. Our cells have a lot of nitrogen and proteins. So we put this, and then we got the biomass. Sorry. The next is CO2 plus water plus the biomass. Please have a look. This is going to simplify the BOD. This is the BOD. Okay, this is the BOD, or sometimes we call it the substrate. This is the oxygen required. This is the nutrients. And this is the oxidized product, carbon dioxide, water, and then biomass, the sludge that is coming out. Okay, so this sludge, instead of biomass, what we call is C5H7NO2. So this denotes the biomass. So whatever the coming biomass, when we try to see the molecular structures, microbes, they consider this Hoover and Porges. They consider that it is a 5 molecules of carbon, 7 molecules of hydrogen, nitrogen, and O2. This simplifies the biomass. Okay, so this is as per the research studies. Now we have to chemically balance this equation. So for easy chemical balance, what they said is this is 3, this is 8, this is 2. So this carbon will be there. So this will be fine. So, my dear students, you have to remember this equation very properly. Now, this BOD, 3 molecules, requires 8 molecules of oxygen. This is the aeration we are going to do it. And the nutrients consumed is 2, and 8 molecules of carbon dioxide and 14 molecules of water has been released as an oxidized product, and 2 molecule of biomass has been produced. Okay, this equation somehow that is done by Hoover and Porges. This is Hoover and Porges. You have to remember. Okay, so now this is called, before studying, we are going to do CaCO balance. Okay, so this may be a little bit complex. Even I will discuss during the session hour in the class. Remember properly. This glucose doesn't mean to say there is only glucose in the wastewater. We're just trying to make glucose as one example, because glucose is the most easy fundamental substrate we studied in the lab. Okay, so if glucose is fed, they requires 8 molecules of oxygen, 2 molecules of nutrients, and the byproduct and 2 molecules of biomass. The biomass is represented by C5H7NO2. You have to remember this. Okay. Now the first thing is, some of the technical term is, number one is yield. What is yield? Yield means how much sludge is produced by food. This is the yield, correct? How much yield means gram of sludge is produced by how much gram of food. But remember one thing, since the food is going to be different, sometimes it may be glucose, sometimes it may be sucrose, fructose, proteins, amines, many things. We are putting it as food. Okay. Now let's see for the yield. Number one, how much sludge is produced. So what we know is, for this BOD food, what we have is, so let me rough this part for easy calculation. Always remember, this is 3 into carbon is 6 into 12 plus 1 into 12 plus oxygen is 16 into 6 is equal to 72, 70 to 74, 84, 84 plus 96, 96 plus 84. So this is 180 grams. Okay. And then this biomass, this is 2 into 12 into 5 plus 1 into 7. Nitrogen is 14 plus oxygen is 16 into 2, correct? 12 5 ja 60, 12 5 60, 67, 77, 81. 81 plus 32, 83, 9300, 113 grams. So it is like 180 grams of glucose into 3 will give 2 into 113 grams of biomass. Is that clear? Do you agree with me? So therefore, from this equation, I can say that the sludge produced is 2 into 113 grams. And the sludge, I'll say sales. Okay, grams of sales is produced by 3 into 180 grams of glucose. Okay. Zero point 0.42 grams of sales is produced by per gram of glucose. This is number 1. 0.42. Now, you may say, sir, we always don't use glucose, we use different foods. So, the basic terminology is this glucose we will convert into COD because this one is either we call it the BOD food or the COD. So, let's use the terminology COD. Okay. Now, then the question asks, what is COD equivalent of glucose? This question comes. Already you have the answer. That is 0.42 grams of sales will be produced for every gram of glucose consumed. But you may say, sir, you have done the experiment by glucose. I want to know by fructose, or I want to know by say alcohols, ethanol, propanol, whatever. Because alcohol itself is also another organic. So I don't want to use glucose, I want to use alcohol. But we cannot do the experiment with the alcohol again. So the thing is, you have to say this COD equivalent of glucose. Okay. So what happened is, what we do is, this is another question. C6H12O6 plus oxygen. Say, for example, if glucose is converted into the byproduct CO2 plus water. Okay, so in this equation you see, this is next topic. If you want to convert glucose into COD, for every glucose gram, it will be equivalent to how much COD. Say, this is glucose. Glucose required oxygen and it biodegrades into carbon dioxide and water. Now the thing is, the amount of the oxygen required for the glucose to be oxidized, that is a COD. Am I correct? So indirectly, this is the COD or the BOD. The amount of the oxygen required to chemically degrade the substrate is called a COD. So this is the indirect mechanism of estimating the COD or oxygen required to biodegrade this or to chemically biodegrade this. Okay, so now the thing is, from this equation, first you have to balance C6, 6. Oxygen is 12, 6, 6, 12. 6 is gone. Hydrogen 2, hydrogen 12, so you put 6 here. So 6 to the 12, oxygen 12, 18, 6, 12 is left, 6, so 6. So this is the main equation. Is it okay? Now, the next question is, from this equation, it is confirmed that C6 H12 O6 is equivalent to 6 O2. That means this is a COD. Am I correct? And what is this? This is already 180 grams. And this is 6 into 16 into 2. 32. 6 to the 12. 6 to the 18, 19, 192 grams. That means 180 gram of glucose is equivalent to 192 gram of COD. Okay, so let me continue it over here. There is 180 gram of glucose is equivalent to 192 gram of COD. Therefore, 1 glucose is equal to 192 divided by 180. Where is my KLC? One point 192 grams, 1.0666. So this one I'll say is 1.07 gram of COD. Okay, so 1 glucose is equal to 1.07 gram of COD. That means if you put 1 gram of glucose, that is equivalent to 1.07 gram of COD. Okay, so this is the way of measurement. So now, please copy the lower part. Let me explain again. For any type of food, say for example, if you want to get energy, either you will eat a chicken or you will just eat what do you call this, rice. The energy that is going to give by rice and the energy going to give by the chicken or the red meat, it may be different. So that energy equivalent, we call it COD. Okay, so rice is going to give to how much energy? Joules. Chicken, how much joules? Then red meat, how much joules? So based on that, it is working out, and we estimate how much a baby requires for the growth. Correct. So similarly, this COD is the total energy required, or it is equivalent requirement of oxygen. So 1 gram of glucose is equivalent to 1.07 gram of glucose. And how to find that? You always can do this glucose itself mixed with oxygen to biodegrade. Therefore, this molecule of glucose requires this molecules of oxygen. That means this is a COD. So this amount is equivalent to this much of COD equivalent. Okay, I'm not saying equal. I'm saying to biodegrade this thing, this amount of the glucose, this much amount of COD is required, or oxygen is required. Therefore, in other way, 6 molecules of O2 COD is nothing. It is this molecule of the glucose. So this way we find that 1 glucose is equal to 1.07 gram of COD. Is that fine? Okay. So now you can pause the video. You can have a look. Let me rub this part. And what we can do is, therefore, the yield is 0.42 grams. Actually, it should be continuation. I have a limited space. 0.42 gram of cells Gram of glucose means 1.07 gram of COD. So instead of gram of glucose, I'm substituting gram of COD. Is it fine? So 0.42 divided by 1.07, 0.3925. So this is equal to 0.39 grams of cells are produced per gram of COD from this main equation. Please remember, let me check whether the video is still on. Yeah, still going on. Good. Fine. Is that clear? So the yield from the stoichiometry is for every gram of sludge produced, the amount of the COD required is 0.39. Fine. This is number one. Okay. Okay, so this part I'll remove it. Now I'll give you another example. This biomass. So biomass, so I'll rub this part and I'll say this is 3 into 180. Okay. I'll rub this part 113. 2 into 1.3. Okay. Now this we have converted into COD, this part. We know this 1 glucose is equal to, just now we said what is 1.07 gram of COD. The thing is, we are going to balance how the COD is coming, the carbon balance. So this also we need to know. Say for example, see this is the biomass. This biomass, if you imagine that, the biomass is nothing, it is a living shell. Or if it is died, whatever, it is a cell. This cell itself, this is the food of another organisms. Say for example, chicken itself, we are consuming it. Chicken is our food. So in that way, if you think that this part is going to oxidize, then how much oxygen is required? It will be the equivalent COD of this. Look here again. C5H7NO2. This is the biomass. Let's say if this is going to oxidize, it's going to give definitely CO2 plus water. Since nitrogen is there, some ammonia may be released. Okay. So now what we are going to see is this biomass, when it's going to be breaking down, 5 carbon is required. What about nitrogen? Nitrogen is 1, nitrogen is 1. So C5 oxygen is 5 oxygen. Okay. So can I say that C5H7NO2, how much gram was that? It was 113 grams. And how much is this? 5 into 16 into 2. is equal to 2. That means can we say 113 grams of sales is equivalent to 160 gram of COD. Therefore, 1 gram of sale is equivalent to 160 divided by 113. 1.415942 grams of COD per grams of. This is another concept. You please see. So 1 gram of glucose is equivalent to 1.07 gram of COD, whereas 1 gram of biomass is equivalent to 1.42 grams of COD. Okay, so this is another example of conversion of the biomass into this one. So you please note down this also. Now I am going to make the stoichiometry balance. Is it clear? Okay, so please have a look again. So is this clear? Now I want to make another example not related to this in the meantime. If you want to find the COD equivalent of any chemicals, okay, say for example, what you call ethanol, the purest form of alcohol, that is C2H5OH. This is ethanol, correct? Ethanol. This ethanol, in case if you want to see that you want the microbes to eat the ethanol, how much oxygen is required or what is the equivalent COD of this? So you can do is O2 convert into CO2 plus water, provided there is no other molecules like nitrogen, phosphorus, whatever. It's easy for you. So 2 means 2 here. Hydrogen is 5, hydrogen is 6. So you put 3 here. Oxygen is 2 to the 4, 4 plus 3, 6. 1 is already there. How to do it? 2 carbon, 2 carbon. Hydrogen is 6, hydrogen is 6. Okay, oxygen is 3, 2 to the 4, 4 plus 3, 7. 7 means 1 is gone, 6 is left. So 6, correct? So what you can say is 2 into 12 plus 1 into 5 plus 16 plus 1 is equivalent to 3 into 2 into oxygen is 16. This is 2 into 12, 24, 29, 30, 46. 46 is, this is 3 to the 6. Is it correct? Oh, 6. 6 is 36, 96. Therefore, 1 gram ethanol is equal to 96 divided by 46 gram of ethanol, gram of COD per gram of ethanol. So 96 by 46, it may be 46 2 is a 92, 4 point maybe 9. Okay, so this is the way to find equivalent COD for any compounds. This is just one example I'm giving. Is it clear? Fine, have a look again. I'm giving some time. You can pause the video and you can have a look. Okay. Now we are going to come with COD balance stoichiometry. Okay. So what happened here is, in this whole system, what we know is always in the mass balance, the accumulation is equal to COD, COD in minus COD out. COD, it's coming, some are escaping it out, minus COD in terms of new sales. Okay, or I'll say COD oxidized. Okay, is it clear? So what happened is, this will be zero. So, or rather you can say, COD sales, or rather we say COD utilized. Okay, so as simple as that, this is COD in minus COD out minus COD sales or utilized. Okay, now from this equation, let us have a look then. Okay, now another one is COD utilized. Because of the smell of this color, I'm trying to get some sneezing. See, so whatever COD this utilize, this will be how much? This is what happened is, whatever COD is consumed, it is consumed in the COD sales. The new COD developed, as I said, plus COD oxidized, correct? Some of the COD will be converted into this part. This is oxidized, and some are in sales. So whatever COD utilized, it is going to be COD utilized means this we are going to see. That is how much it is oxidized, breakup, and how much it is converted into biomass. These two, correct? So, but the thing is, you cannot combine carbon, hydrogen, everything. We are going to convert everything in terms of COD, and we are going to see the mass balance. On the left hand side, how much COD is lost. On the right hand side, this is a COD oxidized and this is a COD sales. That means all the COD are converted into oxidized product and some are biomass. The equivalent of these two, we are going to combine and we are going to see how much we lost over here in terms of COD, is it mass balance or not. That is a basic fundamental, and from here you are not going to design anything, but rather you are trying to know the basic fundamentals of this mass balance of the stoichiometry biological process. Okay. So COD utilized. COD utilized means what? This is the COD utilized. Am I correct? This COD utilized means, in another term, it is how much oxygen is required. Okay. How much oxygen is required is this COD utilized minus COD sales. the oxygen that is actually required is how much COD is oxidized minus it is used in terms of cells. Okay, and this one is same as COD of the substrate. Okay, so see how much COD is oxidized is this one 3 into glucose. This one is 2 into biomass. Glucose already we know. Glucose is 180 grams. Biomass we know 113 grams. But let both of this convert it into their corresponding COD. Already we explained that this is 3 into 180 into 1 gram of glucose is equal to 1.07 gram of glucose. This is in terms of COD. This we got it from the previous equation. 1 gram of glucose is equivalent to 1 gram of COD, correct? Minus 2 into 113 gram, and 1 gram of the biomass is equal to how much is that we used it? That is 1.42 grams of COD. This is biomass, or we can call it cells. Look here, this cells we are converting into COD, and what is this? This glucose we are converting in terms of COD, and these are the factors, correct? So how much oxygen is required is nothing, that is the total COD substrate utilized. Okay, this is using oxidation of the complete food minus the biomass. Is it correct? So this is equal to now let me explain again. The oxygen required is nothing, it is a COD substrate that is utilized, correct? Because we always say that this much COD or the glucose equivalent to oxygen, that is equivalent COD. So how much oxygen is required is nothing, that oxygen is consumed to utilize the substrate to convert into other product, and that is used how much, that is a total COD oxidized, how much food is gone minus some other unnecessary item is there, that is a sales. Okay, so this COD whatever consumed is used for this product, and it is not plus, and some sales is gone. So now if you convert everything into COD, we know that 3 into 180 gram has been completely used to produce this substrate utilized, subtracting this 2 into 113 grams of biomass, and this glucose is converted into the equivalent COD. This biomass is converted into the 1.42 gram of equivalent COD. So finally, we came to know that 256.9 gram of oxygen is consumed. Okay, fine. Now, let me say, okay, 256.9. Now, you see over here, therefore, oxygen required per substrate utilized. Okay, so oxygen utilized is, no, we know 258.9, but per substrate utilized. Okay, so that's going to give, this is going to be, what is that? 256.9 gram of oxygen is consumed, and per substrate utilized is 3 into 180 gram. This is a substrate into 180 gram, and conversion of COD is into 1.07. This is equal to 0.44 grams of oxygen is used per gram of substrate utilized. Is it okay? This is another one. Now, second one, number 2, from the direct equation, we know that oxygen required is 8 into 16 into 2 is equal to 8 to 16, 8 to the 16. So 32, 8 to the 16, 24 to 26. 8. Okay, from here. Fine. Therefore, from this side also what we obtain is oxygen required per substrate utilized is equal to same 256 divided by 3 into 180 into 1.07. This also gives 0.44. So both are same. Okay. So from this, what we estimate is the oxygen required. Directly you can estimate from here from the equation. That is this. Another one, how much oxygen is required is, or how much COD is utilized is nothing. The substrate that is completely breakdown minus this biomass cells produce. We converted this in terms of COD, we converted this in terms of COD, and it comes equal. So that means this equation is correct by Hoover and Porges in terms of COD balance. This is the basic fundamental. And from the here also, we estimate what is the yield of the sludge per gram of COD is consumed. Okay. Now we'll solve a problem, and more it will be quite easy. Okay. So now let me solve a problem, and then it will get quite easy. Okay. We'll just do a numerical, and then it will be quite easy for you. Okay. 10 minutes. See, in this question, what they ask is there is a particular STP based on aerobic decomposition. Okay. Now, what is S naught? S naught is the initial substrate. This may be either BOD or COD. Okay. And what it says is the flow rate is 1000 meter cube. 1000 meter cube is the flow rate. If you convert it into MLD, milliliters, 1000 meter cube means if you convert it into liters, 1000 liters per day. So this is 1 MLD. 1 MLD sewage treatment plant. The incoming BOD is 500 grams per meter cube. I'm not going to make it complex, but this can be 500 into 10 to the power 3 milligram divided by 1 meter cube is 1000 liters. So this is nothing, 500 milligram per liter, and effluent is 10 milligram per liter. Okay, milligram per liter is equal to 200 milligram per liter. See, the question is very simple. There is an STP whose BOD incoming is 500 milligram per liter or COD. We convert into 500 grams per meter cube. And the flow rate is nothing, the STP is 1 MLD capacity. So if you convert it, it is 1000 meter cube per day. And the plant efficiency is such that 500 is going inside, 10 is coming out. SE means the effluent of the BOD. Then it's 500 minus 10, 490. 490 divided by 500. Then its efficiency is 98%. The STP is 98% effective. It is removing 98%. This is 2% coming out. Fine. And the sludge. This VSS means volatile suspended solids. Volatile suspended solids. Whatever it's coming out, it is 200 grams per meter cube. That is 200 milligram per liter. So this is nothing. This is a sales. Correct? Now we are going to estimate what is the observed yield. I think the question is very simple. Fine. So I can remove this part. This part I'm just explaining so that all the units are converted, even though you may have a very simple basic understanding of the concept. Okay. Now see, yield is equal to sales divided by substrate. How much biomass is produced by how much food is consumed. So sales means how much sales is produced? Sales produced is 200 grams per meter cube. How much substrate? How much substrate is consumed? Can you say how much substrate is consumed? The substrate consumed is, so this 500 is coming, this 10 is escaped out. So can I say this is 500 minus 10 gram per meter cube. So this is 200 divided by 490 for climbing. Okay. But we want to convert, this is grams of sales and this is gram of COD. We want to convert everything in terms of COD. So this is 200, 1 gram of sale. Remember, 1 gram sale is equal to how much? We said 1 point, what is that? 1.42 grams. Correct? Therefore, of COD. Therefore, yield is equal to, this is 200 grams of sales means into, okay, 1.42 divided by 490 grams of, this is gram per meter cube, gram of COD, this is per meter cube, this is also per meter cube. Okay, this is 0.58 grams of COD sales by grams of COD consumed. Let's have a look once more again. This is also correct, and here also. Remember, there in our previous stoichiometry complex, we find that this was around 0 point grams. How much gram of silver? How much? How we got around 0.42, correct? So it is not compulsory that we'll always get 0.42. We got 0.40. In the previous stoichiometry complex, we obtained 0.42 grams of sales was produced per gram of COD removed. But here we got 0.40. So that means theoretical as done by Hobbes and Porges, it is not correct that always it will be 100% effective. The reason is some of the COD consumed or some of the sales that is produced is not left as a COD itself, but they also has been oxidized. Say for example, a cell has developed. It is not that the game is over. The cell itself may oxidize further again. So it may consume more oxygen. That is, calculation of COD is not going to be exact. Therefore, in practical situation, what will happen is we got sometimes less value. Theoretical, we got 0.42. So this way also we can find it out. This is 0.5 gram of COD of sales is produced per gram of COD is consumed. This way also and this way also. Is it okay? Number one. Number two, we are going to estimate how much oxygen is required.